Good morning, everyone. I have received a few questions on program one, enough for me to simply take pause and make a quick, helpful, I hope, video for everyone. I recognize that we're coming from different backgrounds. Some of us had 2290 last semester with me. This should all feel quite familiar. As I mentioned, we had 4 programs last semester. This is closest in uh, size, scope, and difficulty to your 3rd programming assignment last semester, with the only goal of this assignment being as a refresher, an opportunity to stretch and get the rust off. But for others, might be thinking, whoa, this looks crazy. It's huge, or it looks, I don't know, maybe it looks foreign. And that's okay. As long as you have that skill set, there's different ways or different approaches, if you will, on an assignment. So this may look foreign a bit, but breathe, take it easy, and you should be fine, which is why I made this video as well, to try to assist. So you may have done more programming in high school or in another class. You may have done less programming. You may have done a different type of programming. That's all okay. But if you learned these skill sets, that should be able to translate to success on this assignment. So I don't want you to feel, left behind. So here's this video. So first thing, I've received several questions on how to actually open the download. I mean, because you have to read. And I know that I don't read often, so I can't always expect we do. But when you download this link here, I typed in, what is a 7Z file? And as I've told everyone before, it's not just about learning data structures or the courses that we offer here at Florida Southern, but it's learning a variety of things, including how to zip files, which many of you did not know how to do. Well, zip is the most basic type of compressed archive that's even built into Windows. There are much better versions, 7-zip being one of the best. So it's just a higher level of compression, and I wanted you to be aware of it, which is why I chose it. I could have easily done this as a zip, but as you're becoming a more sophisticated computer scientist, I want you to understand that there are other things out there, okay? So yeah, you do need to open up 7-zip, go here, download whatever's appropriate for you, and then install that, okay? So here I have downloaded the 7Z file to my desktop, and simply when I double click it, after I've already installed 7-zip, I get this, and I can hit extract, and extract where? To my desktop, done. And there we go, it actually put it all there. If I had hit extract, maybe it would have been better to say extract to, and type the word program one, as just an example. And it'll extract it to this folder, program one. So let me delete all of these things it extracted. Okay, so that's the first thing. We've now downloaded it and extracted it. So don't double click files from within. So don't double click this and then open a file within here. Like, let's look at the input file, because it's temporarily extracting it for you. But it's in temporary memory. It's not saved somewhere permanently for you to access. So it's much better, come on, I'm trying to get that to go away. It's much better for you to double click the whole thing, click the extract button, and choose where you want to extract the entire contents to permanently. So here I am in program one. That was a fail. Maybe I only extracted that one folder. So let's try that again. Double click, extract. Let's type program one. Maybe I only extracted, is it gonna do it again? Okay, thankfully I did everything. I must have highlighted only the IO example. So here we are, and when we double click, this is where some students are like, whoa, I see 9 pages all of a sudden, this is crazy. So if you have not had me before, this would seem crazy with no explanation. But what I tell students is I could have written this up in a page. I could have literally given you a page and said, go do it. And you're like, what the heck? You didn't tell us what to do. So I spend my time, I type it as detailed as I can for those who are willing to read, to give you the guidance that you'll hopefully need to go through this, okay? So hopefully everything's clear, but yes, there's a requirement. It's called, we have to go read it slowly and go through it. So I encourage you to do that once, and you'll probably feel overwhelmed okay? But then end up right here at these suggestions on the last page. So start step one, read and fully understand this document. Step two, read and fully understand the io-example.java program. So included with the download was an example of reading from an input file and writing to an output file. And I gave you the Java program to make this happen. So what I would encourage you to do is let's first open this up, and let's not just examine it and say we understand it. Let's actually put it in NetBeans and run it. So I'm going to copy this whole thing, Control C. I'm going to go to NetBeans. I'm going to make a new project. Java with Ant is the easy one I told you for y'all's purposes. I hit Java application. I hit next. I want to make sure I get this. That's fine for now. I'll save it right here. And I'm going to call this IO example. So it matches up with what you saw over here. Okay. So as a reminder, this is the name of the project. But because I did Java with Ant, I can check down here, make a main class. So it's going to automatically make your class that has your main. And it's called capital IO example. And to the left of this period is the name of your package. The package is basically just the folder within your source directory of the project folder that houses all of your Java files. So I hit now finish, okay? So I've named it the exact same name, and it has the exact same package, and it's thinking. Let's let it think for a moment. And here we are. And because I had copied all of this, Control A, Control C, on a Mac, that'd be Command A, Command C, and then Control A, Command Control V. And now I've pasted everything, Alt Shift Format. Please do pardon that I don't have the coolest looking fonts and colors here yet, because I have not modified this upon installing this new version of NetBeans. So it's pretty basic, and that's fine for our purposes. So here, I've done this. Now, if all of a sudden I try to run this, okay, you're going to see it's going to give me an error, and the error is going to be that it can't find this input file. So let's run that, and let's check out that error. My computer is slow because I just had rebooted, so it's taking a moment. So watch, if I go, it took way too long, maybe 20 seconds, but if I run it again now, immediately, input file does not exist. And it doesn't exist. Why? Because I downloaded it here, but now I need to put it in the location that NetBeans is expecting to see it. It's expecting to see it where? This is very important. It's expecting to see it within the projects folder of, let me see, where is this located? Let me right click. I thought it was right there. Properties. It's expecting to see it here. So I'm just going to copy that. So how do you know where your project is? Right click on your project, you go to properties. Here's the location of your project folder. I'm going to copy that location. I thought I already had it open right here, but maybe it's reading from somewhere else, and that's okay. And yeah, that's my D1 drive, which is the correct location, but that's fine. So here I come to 3280 and I have IO example, the one I just made. I go in it. Here's my source folder. Inside that, I have the IO example package folder. And then inside that, I have the Java file. Okay. Now, where do we put the input file? You put the input file. So here I'm back out on my root folder. I'm going to go into my project folder. Okay. And you put the input file right here. So let's come back. Let's copy this input file we downloaded. Okay. And let's put it right here. You do not put it in the source directory. You do not put it in the package directory. You put it at the root level of the project folder. So if I back out one level, I see my project folder here. I double click it. I'm now inside the project folder, and this is where I place the input file. So now I simply come back to NetBeans. I run. It sees that input file. It says build successful. And you don't see anything else. Why? Well, because if you examine this program, we're reading from a file and we're writing to a file. Well, where's that file that we're writing to? It was just created right here. Okay. So we had placed ioexample.in. This is ioexample.out. Also, for those who may not be aware, a .in file and a .out file are just text files, okay? They're just, the naming convention is such that you use the exact same name as the program, which is ioexample, and then you call it .in to represent input file and .out to represent output file. Now on your computer, it may have a hard time knowing this or reading this because you haven't instructed your computer that input or .in and .out are input and output files respectively. So you need to inform your computer of this, okay? And that you want to open them within a certain program. I recommend Notepad++. So when I double click this, it opens in Notepad++. That's the name of the program, okay? Notepad++. You should download that if you don't have it. If you're on a Mac, you don't need this because you already have a nice text editor, okay? And here's your input file, and here is your respective output file. And after you install Notepad++, if you've never done this before, yeah, you'll need to maybe right click on this file, say open with, then you click this and you choose down here, look for another app on this PC, and you're going to go to program files x86, and in here you should see Notepad++, and you choose this right here, and then you hit open, and so it's going to always open in Notepad++. Okay, it's just a better version of Notepad. So there's your input file, there's your output file. I'm not going to explain on this video what this program does. Try to understand it, try to figure it out, and if you need help, no problem, come ask me. But I think this will give you a good start. Now, what does the next step say? It says, now make your new project in NetBeans and name it MocMart. The project, the create the main class should be checked, and it should say MocMart.MocMart, right? So let's do that. Let's come here. Let's say File, New Project, Java with Ant. Let's call this MocMart. And then notice it says down here, create main class, MocMart.MocMart. This is the name of the actual Java file that's being created. This is the package. We hit finish. Okay, simple, easy. Project has now been created. And now it says, next, start by making your two classes to create nodes, the MocMart product and the MocMart sale. So you do that, copy. And we are going to come back here to NetBeans. We come to our package folder. We right click, we say new, Java class, and we paste that name, MocMart product. Let me get rid of the space and make sure there's no space here. Okay, and I hit finish. We've now created that file. Let's right click and let us make new. Let's come to Java class and let's call this MocMart sale. And we hit finish. Now we have those other two files, and you can reference the PDF. It's pretty easy to look at the UML diagram and to see what's kind of needed. This is not thorough. This is just some ideas. You're the programmer at this point. If this were 2280 or 90, you likely remember I tell you exactly what must be done, what can't be added. Like I say, you can't add to it, can't remove from it, because we're putting restrictions on you. You're in year 2 now. Restrictions are going to come off a little bit. Next year, even more, right? So yeah, you can use all of these methods. You can use more, okay? These are just an example, as you see here. You can add methods if you feel that is best. But you can come in here and basically just copy this, right? MocMart product. So I'm going to go to MocMart product. I click here. I want to get rid of all this garbage because I have not edited my template yet. I come paste. Uh-oh. And of course, it doesn't want to paste. It doesn't want to play well. That's okay. So you come in here, you put your semicolons, no harm, no foul. And bear with me. I just want to do this for you for those who are maybe new to NetBeans. Take just a moment. And I'll format this. Format is your friend. You don't need to do it on your own. That's why you use an IDE. You let it auto format for you. Okay, so that doesn't look formatted, but if I hit Alt Shift F, it formats it. So now that I have that and I've made it all private, we can insert some constructors, right? Insert code. I right clicked, I chose insert code. I choose constructor. I'm going to put an empty constructor for now. Maybe I need more, maybe I don't. It depends on how you code your program. I right clicked. I'm going to insert all my getters and setters. Let's insert everything. Done. I just did in front of you the MocMart product. .java. Now you may need to add some things, change some things, but that's how easy that was. Do the same thing for the other one, okay, which is the MocMart sale. And then finally, it says after you've done that, begin to make your main class. So the MocMart.java, which you've already made, which is here, it says begin to make that main class. Okay, so what do you do here? Read. This is your main program that will read the commands from the file, process those commands, and then print to the output file. Use the ioexample.java program to help you create your main to read from a file and to write from a file. And then finally, one by one, implement the commands. So following that advice, I'm going to come here to this IO example and I'm going to copy and paste the hell out of it. All right. I'm not going to copy the package and I'm going to have to change the name of the class, but I'm copying from the import all the way down. And I'm going to come paste right here, except for just the package, right? Because I copied everything but the package. Now I'm going to paste. Now, when I come up, of course, I need to change this to MocMart. That wasn't too bad. And I don't like what I have here. I don't know why I did that. So I'm going to make this a wildcard import, which I think is better. Okay. So now I'm going to come down and I'm going to modify this. Well, we're reading from mockmart.in. We're writing to mockmart.out. That's not too bad. Okay, I would encourage you to come remove these comments because they're my comments. Let's not fully plagiarize. But what's left is to simply come in here and edit accordingly, right? Let's get rid of all of this. And, oh wait, notice that we send the output variable, the print whatever to the method. Sure, probably going to send the output and the input to the method. So here, I'll even do one for you. So let's get rid of that. And here we are, okay? And so what is our first command that we need to implement? I would say the first logic, there are many commands, but implement the ones that make sense to you to implement first. So you can't find an item until you have an item already in your system. You can't restock it or you can't have customers. So the first thing to really do is maybe add an item, okay? That's something you should do probably first, okay? Implementing add item. So I'm trying to look at the other commands. Print, summary, add item, customers. So it's not too many of them. So let's call it add item. So command.equals add item. And here, method to process command one. Well, I'm going to call it process add item. Look at this amazing naming convention, sarcasm intended. I'm going to send over my input and I'm going to send over output. But if you pardon me, I don't like, I made this, but I want to change my variable. I want to put in, I want to put out. I like that better. Okay, which means it's going to want to change everywhere. So it's actually better if I click on this, I hit Control R. So notice it highlights all instances of the word input, and I'm going to type in, and it changes it everywhere. I click output, Control R, probably Command R on a Mac, but I cannot confirm that. Come on. Once again, Control R, O-U-T. Okay, cool. So process add item, and I'm sending over my input and my output. My input is a scanner, and my output is this print writer. So instead of method to process command one, this was process add item. In the first parameter was a scanner, which is my input, reading from the, right, let's see, scanner from the input file. Yep, so that looks good, and that's it. And so now you're basically going to come up here and you're going to say, well, what comes on that same line as the, where is it at? Let me come back to, here we are. No, wrong one. Come back to here, program one. I need to open up the sample input file. And for add item, what comes on the same line? An item number, so basically an int, a string, a double, an int, an int. I don't know what those represent. Item number, probably name, price, and what is 1 and 7? Let's look that up real quick together. So let's see, add item, item number, item name, price, stock quantity, and restock quantity. Okay, so let's do that real quick. So all I'm going to do in here is, I'll leave that print statement. I'm going to make some variables. Int item num equals n dot next int. Easy. Int item name equals n dot next. What came? Well, that's not, that was a fail. It's a string. Next is double, I believe it was. Item price equals n dot next double. And then we had int stock, was it stock quantity it said? We had stock quantity and then restock quantity. So here we have stock QTY equals n dot next int, and then int restock quantity equals n dot next int. So I've now read everything on that same line that is coming in. And I'm not even trying to solve my problem right now. If you've listened to me this far, which who knows how many of you will, because this is gold that I'm about to give you. Many students have issues and problems when they're trying to debug their code with errors because they did not read their file correctly, and maybe they forgot to read one integer and they read everything else, but by missing that one integer, so imagine if you're trying to go tell your NetBeans to read this, but you somehow forgot to read this number here. But all these other things exist in the file. Well, now everything is going to be one thing off, if that makes sense. And so here it's going to be reading, expecting something else, here reading, expecting something else, and then everything's going to be all messed up. So I've experienced that enough as a student where I do not allow myself to even begin solving the logic of the program until I first do the following thing. And I'm slowing down my speech so you can hear me carefully. I have one very clear goal if I'm a student at this moment in time. I want to start by writing this program right here that I'm showing you, and I have one goal. I want to read the input file, and then I immediately want to print everything that I read back out to the output file. So literally what I would want to do here is I'm going to type out.println. I know that I'm in the add command, so I'm going to type add item plus, or you know what, I'm going to use formatted printing. I think that's easier. Add item, print out.printf, and what needs to get printed on the add item? I have an int, a string, a double, an int, an int. So int, a string, a double, an int, an int. Okay? So if you're not familiar with formatted printing, go get familiar. That's what I can say there. So here I need to print item num. I need to print item name, item price, stock QTY, and restock QTY. Okay, so now all I've done is I've read everything on that same line, and then I immediately just took what I read, I saved it into variables, and then I printed it right back out to an output file. For what purpose? Because I want to, when this finishes, my output file should effectively match my input file. They should be copies of each other. So what does that guarantee you? It guarantees that you are reading the input file correctly. And when you're having errors, inevitably, I will have errors. We will all have errors in debugging things from typos, at least. Later in the program, what you've done is you have effectively removed from the debugging discussion whether or not you read everything correctly, because you have guaranteed that by doing this process. So that's what I encourage you to do, to set all this up, okay, like I did here with this first if statement. Make your process add item, make a method called process, what is it? Or call it, maybe you don't want to call it process, maybe you just want to call it find item, or whatever you want to call these methods, okay? And then send over your in and your out, and simply read what is remaining on that line of the input file, save it into variables, and then print it back out to the output file. Once you've confirmed your output file has matched your input file and that you're reading everything correctly, then you highlight this print statement, you delete the heck out of it, and now you are ready to actually solve this method. And you can start doing whatever you need to do in this method. Hey, I've read the item number, name, price. What do I need to do now? Well, you probably need to make a MocMart product, right? You probably need to come type MocMart product, temp product, or whatever you want to call it, equals new MocMart product, right? Then you can come temp product dot. Did I type it wrong? Oh, it's waiting. My computer's slow right now. It would populate and give you the opportunity to say, and it's actually not even slow. It's because this is the first time I've used this installation of NetBeans on this machine. And so it is, or coding at least, first time I've been coding, so it has to populate this the very first time. Subsequent times it does not take a while, but it's trying to populate and create in the background from its databases what you can choose from. So here I can come type set item number, right? And it automatically puts item num. Now I can type temp product dot set item name, and it recognizes you probably want item name. It's pretty smart sometimes. Now you add everything to your temp product. Now you need to add that to an array of products. So you probably made an array in your main, right? I'm not gonna come do all this for you. And I gave you the code even here, right? I believe I gave it to you somewhere. Yeah, I gave you this line of code. I mean, come on. So I will do it because I've already given it to you. So here, in your main, delete my comments, okay? So how about I'll put it right here, somewhere up here in my main. This looks like a good spot. You don't need that to be printing. So here are my main arrays. Paste those things. I don't know what it doesn't like. Oh, because I haven't read max products yet. So you need to read max products and max sales. I'm not going to go do all that. You would have had to have read that right here above, right from the input file. So I just put 10 for the moment to make this work. So yeah, I would have made those arrays. And so yeah, now I'm going to send that array over to my add item, right? I'm going to send over MocMart product array. And it's highlighted in red because I need to go change my method header above. So I'm going to come do this. Oh, it's called products actually. Products. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to type in products, right? So now I've sent over the array, and now, yeah, I can save the temp product into the right spot. I'll say correct spot, clearer, correct spot within the products array, okay? How do you do that? That's when you come back to the PDF. Now you're trucking, you're ready to roll, and you're going to come read. Hey, where's my add item? Read your add item. Read what it wants you to do. Read where it wants you to save it. Add item is probably the most complicated method. It's not complicated, but it does require shifting. And shifting is garbagino. But I want you all to practice it so you can see how garbagino it is and how garbage it is. Okay, that's the bad part of an array, as we discussed. So I hope that's clear. Yeah, this is probably longer than I wanted, but I think it's pretty, I hope clear, and gosh, there's a word I'm looking for and it's not coming to mind. Succinct? I don't know. It's been a long morning already. I've been up too long. So it's 9 o'clock. I need to leave. I'm at home and I need to come to school because we have class in a bit. If you have questions, feel free to ask them. Good luck.